Welcome to Channel 18 News. I'm Jim Rogers. Public forum took much of the time of the Silver Spring City Council meeting Tuesday night as the council allowed extended time to Marty Brown of Wisconsin. Locally, Mr. Brown's corporation, Double Insanity Investments, LLC, owns the building that once housed Lou Viney's restaurant and pub. Mr. Brown answered addressed what he called a high level of cronyism in the city of Silver Springs and in Hopkins County. Mr. Brown's accusations of cronyism date back to 2016 when he sought to have a tax appraisal of his property on Main Street lowered. A check by KSST News in 2016 showed that his appraisal was in line with other businesses of equal square footage. He did approach the tax appraisal district and eventually went before the Tax Appraisal Review Board. The board reduced his appraisal from the 2016 level of $142,270 to the 2017 level of $90,260. When Mr. Brown ended the lease with Lou Viney, social media took him to task. In response, he wanted city staff to see the trashy condition the restaurant was left in. City staff refused, citing no productive results if they viewed the building. Mr. Brown posted a two-page manifesto against the city at that time. In his Tuesday night accusation of cronyism, he accused the city council of being part of the city and county Good Old Boys Club. Mr. Brown had sought and received a sign permit for his building to place on his current building a sign which reads Good Old Boys Gentlemen's Club. The sign has yet to be put in place. His accusations made Tuesday night focused on City Manager Mark Maxwell and the three councilmen who hold seats that will be on the 2018 municipal ballot. He also made specific accusations against Councilwoman Emily Glass and Mayor John Sellers. Mr. Brown accused the council of not managing the city manager. He stated that if the city manager violates the law and the city council condones it or is aware of it and does nothing, the council is derelict in its duty. Mr. Brown stated that Manager Maxwell told police to release into his custody an individual arrested for drunk and disorderly conduct. He also accused the district attorney and the chief of police for doing nothing in response to his complaint regarding the action of Mr. Maxwell. Both the DA and chief of police noted that Mr. Maxwell was operating within his rights and the law as an adult member of society, according to Texas law, Article 14.031 of the Code of Criminal Procedure. In that, in lieu of arresting an individual who is not a child and who commits an offense under Section 49.02, which has to do with public intoxication and disorderly conduct, if the officer believes that detention in a penal facility is unnecessary for the protection of the individual and others, and the individual is released in the care of an adult who agrees to assume responsibility for the individual, then the officer may release that individual. Mr. Brown also questioned the integrity of Councilwoman Emily Glass when he questioned her use of the word integrity during a public discussion regarding emergency personnel. He also questioned what Mayor John Sellers had done following his complaint to the mayor regarding what he called Manager Maxwell's violation of the law. By law, the council was unable to respond to Mr. Brown's accusations. However, following the meeting, Ms. Glass offered to meet with Mr. Brown personally, but no one at the meeting responded to Mr. Brown's request for a witness to the conversation. No member of the council could serve as a witness or they would violate the Opens Meeting Act. No member of the public present volunteered. In other action, Silver Spring City Council approved the second and final reading of an ordinance abandoning a portion of Gladys Alexander Drive and will convey the property to KCS Railroad. The railroad will, in turn, create a pedestrian crossing in a different location for Crosstown Trail, where it will cross the tracks. Council also approved a first reading, an ordinance authorizing the execution of a certain special warranty deed, conveying certain property of the city of Silver Springs to Billy Ruth Stanbridge. The sale will be at fair market value of $400,000. Ms. Stanbridge will build improvements at the site worth more than $1 million. Lot 10 in Pioneer Business Parkway replat was approved at the request of J.B. Weld, and Jonathan Newsom was appointed as an alternate to the Zoning Board of Adjustments. Kevin Cole has announced he is running for the office of Hopkins County Commissioner, Precinct 4. He and his wife, Sonia, operate a small cattle ranch. He is also an engineer at L3 Technologies in Greenville, and his wife works at Texas A&M University Commerce. He uses his conservative Christian values in everything he does, according to his press release. His vision for the county is keeping taxes low and making sound decisions for taxpayer money. Kevin's background includes serving in the U.S. Air Force for more than 20 years as a linguist. He participated in the first Gulf War. After his service, he focused on areas of business and project management. He has worked as a vice president of a software company and project manager at a nuclear waste cleanup facility. He recently traveled to Afghanistan in support of Operation Freedom's Sentinel, as well as supporting other military programs in the Middle East. His academic background includes a bachelor's degree in business, a master's degree in education, and project management professional certification. He says that his education and business background makes him a good candidate for Commissioner Precinct 4. According to John Campbell, president of the Lions Club of Sulphur Springs, there were first, second, and third place winners in this year's Lighted Christmas Parade. In the nonprofit category, Central Baptist Church was first, Trinity Harvest Church second. In the small business category, Janet Martin Realty, Don Lalo's Restaurant, and Sister Babies Fashion. Large business category, Carriage House Manor. They retained the traveling trophy for another year. And the Mayor's Choice Award, Shining Star Productions.
Even if you don't count yourself as a redneck, you're going to enjoy this play at Main Street Theater starting this weekend, A Good Old-Fashioned Redneck Country Christmas, directed by Brenda Payne and Barbara Grubbs. Now, let's meet some of the cast.
I'm Sierra Jocelyn, and I play as Mark Riley.
Okay. And?
I'm Kiara Stillwater. I play as Mary Sue Archer.
Okay, great. And you are?
I am Tim Carl, and I'm playing the role of Dave in this show.
Okay, Dave. And here's our director. Who are you?
Well, I'm Brenda Payne. Barbara Grubbs and I are co-directing this, and we're just having a ball with these rednecks on the stage. As you might suspect, if you run across some rednecks, these three guys who are, regular guys, got things to do in life, but decide to go hunting on Christmas Eve. All for different reasons, of course. They've all got their reasons, but they take off to their little cabin and leave the girls who work at Lou's Diner in town kind of like up in the air, why did this happen to us kind of thing. And so it all gets mixed up together with what's going on in town and what's going on in the world. And so they all have a good time with it. As you might suspect, because this is a play, it works out for the best because they do coincide their differences. But
I have a feeling it comes around to a nice, warm, Christmassy conclusion.
Well, actually it does, because this young lady here who is playing Mary Sue Archer comes into town, and she happens to be very pregnant. And she manages to have her baby as part of the show.
Okay.
And so we end up with a lovely nativity scene, kind of, like the original nativity scene. And so, it's down home, it's Christmas, and it's very family friendly.
Well, it's a good old redneck country Christmas, and it opens, this Friday evening?
This Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and next weekend also.
Okay, so we've got the three guys. We've established that, and you are one of our trio of hunters.
Mm-hmm. Dave Fox.
Okay, great. You're Dave. We've got the three ladies at the diner, and then we have more cast. How many in the cast?
There are 9.
Okay.
And Sierra, she's nice enough to be our doctor's son. She is a doctor.
Oh, we get a doctor.
Yes.
Okay.
Her daddy's the town doctor, the old town doctor, and he is studying to be a doctor in town, and thank goodness, because we got this girl having a baby. So we have this young doctor that helps out.
Well, wonderful. You're learning versatility at Main Street Theater, aren't you? I want to ask, well, and so Sierra, we'll start again on our left. This is your first role, and how did you come to try out?
My mom's friend her mother is co-directing, so she got me into the play.
Okay, wonderful. And Kiara is not new to us around here. I remember you coming in for interviews as well, too. So, Tim Carl, though, is a new face. Tell us how you came to Sulphur Springs.
Oh, it's kind of a long, complicated story, but the end of it is my parents ended up retiring out at Lake Fork. And as they got older and the health started to go south, I came home to take care of them. And that's when I met my wife, so here I am.
Okay. And you bring some background in entertainment with you.
Yep.
Tell us about that.
Well, I got my start in entertainment actually because of, believe it or not, Title IX. I was a diver in college. When Title IX went through, about 60% of the schools nationwide dropped the swimming and diving programs. So when that took place, I started paying my way through college by doing live-action stunt shows.
I see.
Ended up opening up the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, worked with Universal Studios, Hollywood, and Orlando.
Wow.
I was with them for over 10 years.
So in the stunt work, what sorts of things did you do?
Most of the live action shows that we did, you're talking high falls, sword fights, stage combat. I was usually this comic sidekick in most of those shows, so it just depends.
Okay. And you gravitated your way to Main Street Theater. How did we find you, or how did you find us?
When I first moved here, I saw a show down at Main Street. Me and my wife went, and Brenda here lives down the street from me, and I was looking at some of the new buildings in our neighborhood that were going up, and I stopped her, and yeah, she suckered me into getting in this one.
He volunteered.
Well, I say you don't exactly have a redneck accent, but...
You want to make a bet?
You want to give us a sample?
Well, that depends. I mean, what exactly are you looking for? I mean, I've been around quite a bit.
Can you hunt?
Oh, we go hunting. Of course, this year we didn't kill anything except the battery in my truck.
Okay. Well, Brenda, tell us, who plays the three diner ladies?
Well, we have Lou Wexler, that's Cindy Lancaster's playing that, and her husband is also a co-conspirator to go hunting, okay? Bill Wexler is played by Sean Detterding, and he has offered so much to the show because he's brought his kids in to help us backstage and in doing the lighting and thing. And Tim's other half is Bobby Joe. That's played by Sheila Armstrong, and she does a real good job. Her mama is the one who just goes on and on and on. And then
is she one of the reasons for the hunting trip?
Pardon.
She is the main reason for that hunting trip. Every year, Barbie Joe carts me off to Verna Bell's for Christmas Eve dinner. And all she does is nag and antagonize me. She criticizes my hair, makes fun of my tattoos, even tells me how to eat, and I'm the town butcher.
So obviously there's a lot goes on behind all this. And then we have this young couple. We have Darlene, and she has a boyfriend. That's Jimmy, okay? Darlene is played by Lindsay Plumley, and Jimmy Weaver, who's her boyfriend, is played by Ben Brady. Now, these two get together. She thinks they're meant for each other. He thinks he can play the field and still, but that they kind of like have to talk to him about that because, you don't take care of them, something's liable to happen, so.
Sounds kind of redneck to me.
Yes. So.
Well, so there's two other male leads here.
Mm-hmm.
And who are they?
That's Sean Detterding and Ben Brady are playing those parts.
Or in the hunting aspect.
Yes, and they're all off at this cabin, and they send the young man out to check the weather because we're in a snowstorm here, which kind of becomes a blizzard like you might expect on Christmas Eve, and the young man happens to leave the ignition turned on and kills the truck, and So they have to go down to this little cabin down the way where the baby happens to have been born, and with the help of the doctor, and so...
Sounds pretty cozy after
Yes,
all.
And then it kind of gets sweet and nice when we have a baby. And then the whole town comes together, as happens in redneck country. There's a young lady who has a problem and she needs some help, and the whole town comes to her aid, which is typical redneck kind of activity. So,
Well, it sounds very heartwarming.
and then we have John Davignon, who is our narrator. He's a truck driver who happens to come. He spends a lot of time at the diner waiting for his truck to get fixed and all of that. So he's explaining all this to everybody at the same time. So.
He has great voices that he
does.
uses, can employ.
And so
Well, I'm going to ask Tim, what has been some of the most interesting things so far during rehearsal time that have come up?
Okay. Some of the interesting things is just figuring out the way that we're blocking in such a tight space, because it is somewhat of a small theater. The blocking aspect of it rotates almost daily during rehearsal. So one rehearsal I'll be in one spot, but because the dialogue goes back and forth so fast between the guys, it's kind of hard to jump over furniture and stuff sometimes. So that's been the interesting part.
Okay.
we have one small stage and three things, and we can't make a whole new stage, so we have to readjust.
Well, I was telling Sierra about versatility. We all learn and really perfect versatility working with Main Street Theater. As mentioned, I think we mentioned, over 30 years old Main Street Theater, right there on Main Street, of course, and used to be a little narrow building and now double in size.
Correct. We were
Seating
able to
about
add
80.
to it. Mm-hmm.
And you'll have 6 performances total.
Right. On Friday and Saturdays, the performances are at 7 p.m., and on Sundays it's 2 in the afternoon, so it tries to fit everybody's schedule. And so we're looking forward to good crowds, because we know they're going to have a good time.
We need something like this for Christmas this year to sort of round out the Christmas spirit or Christmas atmosphere all through our town. I want to ask the young ladies once again, Sierra, where do you go to school? And
North Hopkins.
okay, and you're in what grade?
8th.
Okay, and Kiara?
I go to Sulphur Springs Middle School. I'm in 8th grade.
What else do you do in school? What else do you study? Are you in band, sports?
I'm in choir and theater. I did the one act that was there, and we did Peter Wendy. It was a great show of course, but...
Well, maybe you'll get more of that in high school,
yeah,
too.
I hope so.
What about you, Sierra? What else do you do in school?
I'm in sports and theater.
Okay, wonderful. And Tim, what else do you do?
Right now, not a whole lot. I'm sales rep for Kamado Joe Ceramic Grills. So it gives me the time to work when I want. But I'm looking forward later on in the year opening a new food truck in town.
Okay, well, wonderful. And Brenda, I know you and Ed, you like to do gardening and other many things throughout the year, and lots of plays.
We do plays, and of course I'm part of the Master Gardeners. We work down at Christmas in the Park at Heritage
Yes.
Park. So, I mean, when you get retired, you get to pick and choose a little more of the things that you like to take part in. So,
Well, I think that our town is really busy for a town our size with so many events every weekend. It's impossible to get to them all. It really is impossible. But the ones that we pick and choose that we most want to attend is still a challenge. But we want you to come see a good old-fashioned redneck country Christmas. Main Street Theater, and one of the 6 performances starting this Friday night. And do we need a reservation?
yes, you can make it online at mstsulphursprings.com, or you can call the theater and make your reservation there, 903-885-0107.
And tickets are?
$10.
Okay, wonderful. And it doesn't seat a whole lot of people, so you do need a reservation. They're recommended.
And the one thing that we want to get out there to everybody, this is This is Texas Christmas, and we all want to say Merry Christmas!
Here's Don Julian with sports.
The State Executive Committee of the University Interscholastic League, or UIL, has ruled in favor of the Sulphur Springs ISD in a case involving the eligibility of a student athlete. The decision reverses a decision of the District 16 5A Executive Committee that ruled the player ineligible for changing schools for athletic purposes. Sulphur Springs School Superintendent Michael Lamb presented the appeal before UIL officials on Wednesday morning. The hearing had been originally scheduled for back on November the 8th, but was postponed for a month due to back problems that Lamb was having then that prevented him from attending. The player involved is now immediately eligible to play varsity sports. The Wildcats basketball team took care of business and defeated North Lamar 48-32 Tuesday night in Paris. The Wildcats did not allow the Panthers to think about springing an upset as Sulphur Springs jumped out to a 17-7 first quarter lead. The Wildcats increased their lead to 29-14 at halftime. During the last two quarters, the teams basically traded baskets. Wildcats coach Clark Cipolletta played all 12 of his players, and 9 Wildcats scored points. Keyston Willis led the Wildcats with 11 points, including 3 three-point baskets. Victor E. Walker had 9 points, including a pair of dunks. The last one shook the basket vigorously and sent some of the Wildcats fans in attendance into a frenzy. God's Gift Ezedinma added 7 points, including a dunk. Michael Jefferson scored 5 points, including a three-point basket. Coming off the bench, Xavier Cork and Ivan Clayton scored 4 points apiece. Bryson Lynn and Jeremiah Rowland both hit a three-pointer and each scored 3 points. Cameron Kahn scored 2 points. Wildcats basketball coach Clark Cipolletta said that the Wildcats did a good job defensively, making it tough for the Panthers to score. He added the Wildcats offense executed really well early on. Coach Cipolletta said the win was a complete team effort. Sam Acey led the Panthers with 12 points, including 2 three-point baskets. The Wildcats are now 9-1 for the season. Next, they'll play in a Union Grove Chick-fil-A tournament this Thursday through Saturday. Both the Saltillo Lions and the Saltillo Lady Lions picked up varsity wins against Chess Tuesday night. The Lions won 76-30. They built their lead from the start, outscoring Chess in every quarter. Matthew Gurley led the Lions with 23 points. Lyle Bench and Walker McGill scored 12 points each. Trevor Moore had 9 points, Levi Hoover 8 points, Chris Bokhorst had 7 points, Branson McGill and Michael Clover had 2 points each, and Ryan Pruitt had 1 point. The Lions improved their season record to 6-8. They'll face McLeod in a McLeod tournament Thursday at 1:30 p.m. And the Lady Lions defeated Chess 51-41. Chess actually led that game at halftime 26-24, but then the Lady Lions outscored them 21-3 in a big third quarter to take a 45-29 lead. The Lady Lions held on in the fourth quarter to get the win. Madison Simmons had 24 points for Saltillo. Jocelyn Ochoa had 7 points. Jordan Sester and Maddie Smith had 6 points each. Chandler Bain and Tori Mobley scored 5 points apiece. The Lady Lions are now 5-11 for the season.
Thanks for watching Channel 18 News. Have a great evening.